Yeah. So we're officially recording, and you know, it's it couldn't be more of a pleasure to have you back on this. And we were just having a discussion about some great reflections, like real life reflections of just spontaneous conversations, and people you may not you wouldn't have known, but you can sense they would be more aligned astrologically, or like in the astrological thinking. A very fun part is discovering that, like, with the new people you meet and everything. Because I'm all about, like, just meeting all these people, showing them the love and seeing if we click, if our love intertwines, whatever you want to say about it. And I love that. And so I have some of the questions that, like, we discussed. Um, so this was, you don't have to believe in astrology for it to be useful, which I feel like that's like a strong statement. So what is the right way, the quote unquote right way for you to use it?
For me personally,
Yeah.
well, I would say, first of all, if you don't believe in astrology, then you're not going to find it useful.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, there's a number of people who have been studying it. It's been, I guess some people call it a pseudoscience. Like, I think that what I like about astrology, me having a scientific background, is that it is based on planets moving in the sky. I think how I use it, or how I find it useful, and we all have free will. We
Mhm.
all can make our own decisions. It's kind of interesting when you're aware of planets in the sky and what they're doing, and then having some sort of indication based on your personal astrology chart, how that could affect you. I can give you an example that's coming up that I kind of find interesting. So for me personally, Mars is going to be, I believe Mars is moving into Aries. Oh shoot, I should check that. But I think it's moving to,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mars is going into Aries right now.
So I know that my personal astrology, based on that, well, I think all of us should be careful with sharp objects. Mars,
Yeah.
Mars rules Aries, and Aries is, can represent, well, it represents war, it represents knives, etc. But so just, I'm going to be extra cautious and, like, not, just drive extra carefully and do things that are, just be extra careful. Like, I'm not going to, like, for example, I was cutting a bagel yesterday and I cut it on its side. I didn't cut it. I don't have my bagel chopper. I cut it on its side so I wouldn't cut my finger. So just kind of like that sort of thing. And it's probably always good to be cautious with knives, but
Yeah.
there's certain times when we have to be extra careful based on the planets. And I have found in the past, not knowing these small things to consider, I did have small accidents, and in hindsight, looking back, it was related. I could see it in my chart.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like, yeah. It's especially cool, because I think no matter how old you are, like, you can always reflect, like, on cool moments that you might have photos or something, and like photos have for a long time, like, said, like, the date and stuff, most generally, um, like, personally taken photos. But you can use that to, put that date in a program and see, like, how the astrology might have reflected what had happened that day. And yeah, that's, like, fascinating.
Something else I was looking into yesterday related to upcoming significant transits. So for one of my children, she is, her moon is in Taurus. my moon is in, well, depending on what astrology you look at, it's in Capricorn or it's in Aquarius. So, but hers is in Taurus for both Vedic and Western astrology. And there is something, I may have mentioned this last time, called your Sade Sati. And it's like 7.5 years where Saturn transits your moon. And it can be a lot of, it's essentially, did I mention this last time? It takes, Saturn is like the
I don't think it did.
taskmaster. Saturn is like kind of like wants you to follow the rules or have boundaries. And so it'll teach you during that period of your life, things may just like, you may lose friendships. Like both my parents passed away during my Sade Sati. I went through a divorce during my Sade Sati. Saturn literally transited like every major planet, my Venus, my moon, my sun, Jupiter, my midheaven. I mean, anyway, so the whole point is it can be a really challenging period, but understanding that was going to happen, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It doesn't make it easier, but it kind of makes like, okay, cool, it's over. My daughter is a Taurus moon. And so I was curious, when does her Sade Sati start? And for her, it's at the age of 16. And so I was like researching it yesterday about how that will impact her. And it's not going to be nearly as challenging as mine was, just based on where the moon was, et cetera. But knowing that, and she might have 8 years that are going to be kind of challenging. And like, I'm glad that I had that awareness. Now, does she believe in astrology? No, probably. I mean, my kids know that I enjoy studying it, but at least I'm aware of that. And it kind of gives me some like knowledge, like, okay, this might be hard and this is why. And at the age of 24, she'll be fine. Like, yeah, she'll get through it. But, I think, using it to be useful. And for sure, I would have probably done things a little bit differently in 2017, 2018, 2019. But it is what it is. Like you
Yeah.
are meant to experience things and you kind of can resist it, but you're going to learn it anyway. It's better to
Yeah.
learn without resistance, you know?
Definitely. And I mean, that kind of latches on to like staying in the moment, like you can only control the now, the present moment. And like, because everybody's present is, while it might be the same place, same time, same situation, it's different person to person, just like their astrology. And I think that's fascinating.
I think it's so interesting. I love doing this when I'm like, for example, when I find myself getting distracted in a moment, like, for example, I went out to dinner last night at a restaurant. I didn't do this last night, but I will do this sometimes in restaurant settings. And I'll just like look around and like marvel. There are 50 people in this room, and we are all going to have a very different narrative of our experience at this restaurant. And it's kind of fun. It's like all the different realities, I suppose. Like quantum physics is like not a strong point of mine. I can appreciate it. It just feels so, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it. But at this moment, we could be doing a lot of different things, right? And like on this call, like my experience will be different than yours, even though
Yeah.
we're in the same space having a conversation.
Yeah, it's one of the most, I love that part of life is like your enjoyment is, it might have some similarities on like the situation, the timing and everything to my enjoyment and like things like that. But there is always like something that's like at least something that's different, like that's unique to you. Like you might have a certain bias maybe, or like certain preference, certain enjoyment, things that like you might have clearly would have different level of experience with. And yeah, it's just a lot to condense into the mind, but I personally love that, like, because it's like we have a kind of we have the ability to free flow through, like, if you were to, like, I don't know, as I visualize it, it's like you can travel this thought process, and then like, how does that connect to this? But then what's interesting is how certain things that you wouldn't think on the surface would have similarities are, like, dramatically similar, based on your experience and your, I don't know, like, just the way, like, the energy you want to put into it, or the energy you do put into it. And
I think that is when, like when I find myself in I guess, a frame of mind that I'm like, I don't need to be like, I want to like raise my vibration, like raise my energy.
mm,
I think that's when I start to draw in intention. And so like just like being present, just focusing on one like vibe or one sort of like what you always say, like leading from a place of love. And so when I focus on, okay, I need to get back to that place of love, like sometimes it's as simple as like maybe I'm in like physical pain somewhere in my body, and that can make people pretty grumpy.
yeah,
I don't have any chronic pain issues, but sometimes I have, and I know that I'm not like that happy. I'm like, okay, it's just like managing my energy. But whenever I find myself like not being as intentional, or I'm being distracted by maybe something that happened yesterday and not being present, that's when I just really focus on intention and I get back to that place. And I like one thing that I've always, and I said this last time, that I've so appreciated about you is that you always remind the group when we're on our meetup calls about just like you just like radiate that love, and it's so infectious. And I feel like love is a more challenging thing to radiate. Positivity is because we're built to survive, right? And our
mm,
species is pretty negative, and we're like fear cells and anxiety, and that's really palpable. And I think the fact that you have this ability to connect and touch people through your presence from leading from a place to live is so powerful. And I mean, the world needs more of that, you know?
thank you for saying that.
But it's so great that that you can feel that, like you truly, like that's, like, I have a question. Like, do you wake up every day with that intention, or that's just how you're wired now?
Well, it wasn't like that. Like, like in my high school days, like I was in high school and stuff, because if, like, we're reflecting to the past, it's, I don't know, I like think back to like high school, like that's when I had like some jobs, different jobs, and school. So like that was like an individual stressor, and complication, whatever. Um, but after the brain injury, it's like, while yes, there are some similarities, there is such a drastic difference, like in like who I am. Like, I'm so, I want to say, dissimilar to who I, from my point of view, who I was before. Like, I was kind of like the tool that just liked to have fun. Like, I would, just screw around, have fun in high school, and manage to graduate, And so yeah, that was a thing. But this is like a second lifetime, which is freaking amazing in my opinion.
I love that. So you find that, and you're aware of like the before and the after, and how your mind has changed, or how you approach life with such like a joy for living, and that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So anyway, but
Yeah,
it's
I'm
also
right with you.
Your Aries energy. Did you find like yourself like pre brain injury, were you like daredevil, risk taker, Like
Oh, totally.
never wore a helmet when you're riding. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but like that. I think that's like Aries energy. For Aries sun, honestly. You had a good question about like a general question about like the sun sign and like and how is it? I forget the question, but essentially like I mentioned last time, like I don't identify as a Pisces sun or whatever. You'd said
Yeah.
something about that, which I think is a great question. If you want to, I don't care what you talk about. Like just delete all this part, but because we're kind of like talking off. But whatever, however you want to go. But I think like just like free flow conversation is also good. And we can always like tie it back to astrology, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually
That's
curious with you, like because you're young and you're interested in it, and it sounds like it's not something that you had been exposed to in your home, right? So like,
Nope.
how do you find people in your generation when you share that? And granted, you go to places intentionally, like on meetup
Mm.
groups or in person, like the group that you found. But how do you find people receive it in your IRL, as the kids say in real life?
Yeah.
How do you find
So
people receive it?
you are officially relevant for saying that.
And what? Oh, what does that mean? Relevant? Like,
Relevant, like you are like with the times.
oh, IRL? Yeah. Like real
Yeah.
life.
And that's hilarious. But for like meeting people that are also into astrology and stuff, like the Meetup app is really good. I think a good place, like it's like where I met you and stuff. So like that's a great um, place to start. And then there's you can specify like on like the search for Meetup, like so like what I did was search for Austin, astrology meetups, and then I dwindled down to like my specific city, and that's where I found like the in-person group of some awesome, lovely ladies. I mean, for the most part, it's like a predominantly female interest. I feel like it's what I've realized.
Oh, astrology is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. I find that in the classes I've taken and the teachers I've studied under, it seems like there are more women, although there are a number of men.
Mm.
Um, but it does feel that more women are interested. And I never have looked into why. I'm curious, what what do you think contributes to that? Do you have a thought about that?
I do actually. I think generally, the way society is like conditioned and stuff, because I mean, everybody is conditioned in one way or the other. I mean, not one or the other, but like in their own ways. And it's just like it tends to be a generally female subset of people that are like like they attract other friends and other like mentions and stuff, and you know yeah, I don't know, like it's hard for me to say, like not being a female, so like that point is kind of, it would be more leaning towards you, I feel like,
Well, I think
to
I think that like I said the last time we spoke, how something happens in our lives and it doesn't make sense, and so we turn to other ways to understand it that may not make sense to other people. But when we've exhausted all reasoning logically, and I do believe astrology is pretty logical in my experience,
yeah.
but when we've exhausted all that reasoning, we're like, okay, there's got to be another. Because we are curious people. I mean, humans are curious, and so we want to know, especially when it affects us. And we're like, why did this happen, or why I go through this time? Like, oh, okay, cool, like this makes sense. When no other reasoning makes sense,
Yeah.
is that what brought you to it, or
I think, yeah, I think being sprung into the why was a big, like I wasn't like getting too hard, judging myself or like, belittling myself, like, dude, if you made this one change, you wouldn't have had this accident. And yes, that while some of that might seem true, the other side of me is like, but that's not what happened. And like I think there is a reason, and I think that just opened my mind up like tremendously on like just the curious side of things. And
I think a big part when we go through something that's extremely hard to endure is just the acceptance of the situation. And I think that, as a happiness coach, I know rumination is the worst thing you can do for your happiness, to ruminate about things you cannot change. And we all can get in those moments, but I think when you like accepting, here I am today and like I can't change, I don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes and I can't change what happened 5 minutes ago,
mm,
is so important. But I do like the roadmap that astrology has given me where I am aware and I can get excited. Like, okay, I'm super psyched. Like, Venus is going to be in Taurus like next month. I'm so happy. Um, I'm super psyched that my Sade Sati is over and Jupiter is like, all the planets are direct. Like, yeah, like I get excited about that stuff. And like we talked about last time, like Mercury retrograde, it was like, it was a lot, I mean, based on our individual charts, like I saw your chart, I know my chart, and it affected people differently. And I felt it, like you felt it, right? And so
mm,
it's kind of interesting when it's happening. It's like a roadmap, and so you can choose to like use that GPS or use a different one. So,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's I think reflects like very very far in the past to whenever astrology kind of started becoming like a more recognized thing, or more, yeah, overlaying like thing, like just commonly understood thing. I feel like in the way the earth and society, and I mean everything is cyclical, like from our understanding, our limited understanding, it's everything that happens is like it goes in cycles. And some cycles may suck, but some cycles also may be good. And like I think like being younger, it's like I have a more limited range of history to refer to, besides what I've been taught, just personal experiences. But I think we can together we can, I don't know, like I think it's a collaborative effort, like building what happened before, what caused that, all that, the sequence of events, to then we can foresee the future essentially based on the trajectories that certain decisions may have put society in.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I just looked up on Google.
Mm,
When did astrology become more mainstream? And it's kind of interesting. In the early to mid 20th century. So apparently in the 1930s, newspapers began to publish the horoscopes. I had read somewhere before that they would did it on your moon sign. I think it was the moon sign, but most people don't know that unless they know their birth time. So they did
mm,
it on the sun sign. We all know what day we were born. Um, and then it thrived in the 1910s, and then it saw a resurgence during the 60s and 70s because like the new age and like the hippie movement, which is
yeah.
when my mother must have gotten into it because yeah, she was really into it. And then it said that So it's interesting. The 21st century, it surged again through social media and digital platforms, particularly among millennial women, making it a greater than $12 billion industry by 2021. What do you think it
Jeez.
is 5 years later? Oh my God.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. That's super
But I think that people just,
awesome.
I think it's so cool that like there are tools to understand it. I've learned so much about myself. And there's a question you'd asked me in like the show prep. And I forget what it was, but understanding it's something about like understanding my chart or a person understanding their chart and is this how they show up in life? Or do they show up differently than do they think they show up differently than their chart says? But really the truth is they are showing up how their chart says. I'm paraphrasing, but it was a question you'd ask. Like, that's really interesting because yeah, I think I show up in certain ways but I really don't. I'm showing up exactly how my chart says I will. I think it's really related to love. And I'm like, yeah, that's so, I mean, my Venus is in Capricorn. It just is. Like I'm very practical about, very loyal, very practical about like love issues, I suppose. So, you know,
Yeah,
I'm not going to get married in a chapel in Vegas. It's never going to happen. Like,
that's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. It's a you can endlessly reflect on like so many correlations and coincidences, like quote unquote coincidences or things like that. And I think there is like to like people like us, like there is concrete evidence to a lot of these happenings, be it like because of an astrological occurrence. I think there is a lot of evidence, but it takes a certain type of person to believe the evidence and understand, like, so they can actually like think about, contemplate it, and process that themselves, and then I don't know, that gets ingrained, or like, because then you can start understanding a more expansive, I think the more expansive reality.
no, yeah, definitely. It's funny. People who are skeptical, they'll say, well, like, you could say that about, but when I do, if I've done a reading for somebody, typically the readings I do for people, like they're not skeptics, like they are curious and it does resonate. But to the extent there's been somebody who's challenged why I believe in astrology, like, well, can't, you could say that about anybody. Well, actually, no, I can't. Like, I've never had the same reading twice ever. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's funny.
certain things, but like certain, but so it's just interesting. Like, no, you can't say that. If you read the paper horoscope, your daily horoscope in the newspaper, it's very general. There's 12 of them, and it's like it may or may not apply to you that day. And so, but like the chart is more in depth. And I just also looked up like how old is Western astrology, and it's about 4,000 years old.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. And that's where we get the pattern of like the three wise men apparently. And again, I don't like know this for sure, but I did know they followed the stars to Bethlehem to see Jesus when Jesus was born, and they were astrologers.
Oh yeah, that's pretty fascinating for sure.
They say it originated in Mesopotamia around 2000 BCE, and where astrological omens were recorded on clay tablets. And I got that from the astrology podcast, Chris Brennan's site, which is amazing. And so, yeah, it's about 4,000 years old. It could be, some people say 2,000. And so they were looking like think about like you have nothing else to do. Why not watch the planets? Like,
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
There was no TV. There was like no
Yeah,
Netflix back then. Let me look at the sky. Oh, this planet moves. And every time this planet is here in the sky, I get in a fight or there's a war breaks out in my town, or you know what I mean? And so,
yeah.
and maybe
It,
that's how they describe, the red planet Mars. Whenever Mars is in this part of the sky, I'm guessing, but
Yeah, things are about to get fiery down here.
Yeah, exactly. And like right now, we have all that stuff in Aries.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, how do you feel as an Aries right now? Like, how do you feel like your ambition coming back? The last, you asked me a question like, why is this year different and how what makes it special or makes it like significant astrologically speaking? And like, there's
Mm.
so much action in Aries this year.
Yeah,
All the
there
planets
is
are
a
direct, which
ton.
means that it's like go, go, go action, which is so cool.
Yeah, and that is beyond exciting to me. Like, because like I mean, clearly, go, go, go. Like always, both. I mean, physically, obviously, I'm always moving around. Always like just like I always feel like I need to be doing something, which is yes, that is potentially you could see it as a problem, but it's just I see like we have this one lifetime to make a difference and to actually like impact people and like what I intend like love. So like now it has ultimately transformed like or well maybe not transformed but it has resulted in like a more loving intention and all about bonding, all about connection, all about experience, all about these things. And it's just that's just the center point I think that you stay like aimed in on and throughout your life experiences.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that it's so, again, back to like intention and focusing on like we only have this one life, this one beautiful life
Mm.
to experience every day. And it's totally natural for us to need times to rest and to like reflect. And I have learned to give myself grace in those days or weeks or months where I'm like, I'm not that active. Or I mean, I just need that moment to reflect and just be like, and regroup. And I feel that's been the energy of the last year or two in my personal life. And with also like, a lot of planets being in Pisces, that's like that energy. And then the next house after Pisces is Aries, the first house. And so that is much more like ambitious. It's spring energy. Do you find that this time of year your energy picks up because it is like your birth year, the birthday, this time of year is like, I mean, it's getting warmer. We have blossoms in the trees here in Virginia. It's
Mm.
beautiful. And I do feel like this more like, okay, I want to get out and like, you know, it's like a rebirth, in the spring.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, it's funny, like, because I can hop back into my old thinking and because I consider my lack of knowledge of astrology or astrological knowledge, and it's a like I used to just think like springtime. Yes, springtime is like the sprouting season and stuff. Like that's when things get started, and then summer is when you can have fun and stuff and like get things done, or maybe not done, but you can actually just enjoy the time from what the spring sprouted essentially.
Mm.
And yeah, like I just think that's the I don't know, I love springtime and because like I feel like that's like where the energy is and I love the energy.
It's almost like that's where the potential is. It's like, let's see what happens. Like if you think about the trees, like I'm looking outside of my window and I see all these trees. They're just like ready, just like bursting, right? And it's kind of like, it just kind of excites me to see. It's like, wow, like the potential of that tree or
Yeah.
of life itself. Life itself. It's
Yeah.
like you're kind of like out of the hibernation. Although you're in Texas where it's like, no, it doesn't get that cold.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't. It's fairly it's a lesser green for sure than like where I was in Georgia. But it's more like desert over here. And like but like you can still see like the cool like um patches of green essentially. Well, I don't know, it kind of sounds like a dramatic sense, but there is like some greenery. It's just smaller trees, and it doesn't. It's not all surrounded by like super tall trees and everything. So it's kind of a narrow perspective of spring. It feels like.
Got it. But even just for the timing though of the year, like do you find yourself like reinvigorated this time of year?
I would definitely say I do. Because you don't exactly know what's going to be happening that year or that like next year, but like you're at the spring point. So like, like you can use that energy and, to bring whatever it is that you desire, or like, like hang out with friends or go to work, or, work on new projects, or, like you're springing new ideas too, like hugely, I think.
Oh, yeah, like in astrology, there's a whole thing, like your solar return, your like your birthday report, and every year has a different theme. And it's like one of the timing tools that you can look at. And it's interesting because it's like I'm actually excited about my solar return this year. And I can send you your report if I haven't, but I don't know if I did or did not. But anyway, but it's kind of cool to see like this is like the theme of the year. And I think I told you, I think you're in a Sagittarius themed year, I
Oh yeah.
believe. Just like super go, maybe that's not you. Sorry. So one of my friends, I just did, she's a friend. I gave her solar return report for her birthday. She just had a birthday and she's had a few challenging years. And I said, girl, you are in a Sagittarius year. Then like, it's like, go, 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 go. Like she's like, everything is like fire in her chart and she's finally feeling that energy, that ambition. And it's been a long, she's had a few really, slower, sleepier years, if you will. So it's kind of cool to see that in astrology. It's like I'm excited about this year for me.
Yeah, so what does this year like hold for you, astrologically, or foresee?
Well, sorry, it's well, I'm excited about for one thing, like Jupiter is going to be moving into Leo this summer, and for me personally, that's my fourth house, and that's my house of home. And it's been in my third house of communication, which is actually, and it just went direct. So it's a very good time for me personally to be communicating ideas. And I really found a shift, Holden, like you can't make this stuff up. You may remember on a call about a month ago and like Mercury was retrograde and I was like, I cannot speak. I had chipped my tooth.
Oh yes, I remember
Remember
that.
that?
Yes.
Yeah, it was so wild. And I was like, I literally cannot talk. And it was so bizarre to me. And I was like, I just couldn't talk. And, Mercury is retrograde, Jupiter was retrograde in my third house. I just had a really hard time conveying any ideas or having them like fall where I wanted them to. And then I literally felt this, I keep saying literally, I felt this shift about a week ago. And I'm not surprised. It was around the time Jupiter went direct. So I'm pretty psyched about that. But the past couple of years, my solar return chart has been extremely challenging, where every planet was like in a sign of detriment or fall. So
Mm.
your planets, when you're born, your natal planets, of course, the most important thing. And again, if this is too weedy, you can cut this out, but I just thought I'd share it with you. But
Yeah,
so
it's all good.
you can have planets that are like afflicted based on where they are in your birth chart. So, for example, having Mercury in Pisces, as we both have talked about, that's challenging. Mercury does not like Pisces. um, and it can have us like, we might communicate things and we know exactly what we're saying, but people around us, like, what are you talking about? Or we give a lot of context and are we speaking like visions more, meaning like
Oh yeah.
big picture, but we always come full circle. Like we always come back to our original point. right?
Mm.
And so that's such Mercury in Pisces. So that can be a challenge. But if you have,
So would you say Mercury individually like affects like tends to affect the communicative abilities of
yeah.
us?
So yeah, Mercury is the planet of communication. It's also the planet of short distance travel, communication, and technology to an extent. Yes, definitely technology. So, for example, my daughter, my oldest daughter, I may have mentioned this before. She is a Gemini rising,
Mm.
and she has Mercury in her first house at 0 degrees, which is freaking phenomenal. Um, Mercury loves Gemini and Virgo. And if you have it in your rising sign, and she's such an incredible writer, she has such poise. Like I've seen her get on stage in front of a couple of thousand people. And she had to do this like impromptu commercial at this modeling convention. Anyway, I was blown away. I'm like, she was 13 and
Yeah,
and
that's
did it.
awesome.
And she has no problem speaking in front of big crowds. But that is her Mercury in her first house in Gemini. It's like, oh, what a place to have it. And at 0 degrees, it's like the purest form of that planet.
Yeah,
So yeah, so she is like truly a naturally gifted communicator. Like how awesome is that?
that's amazing, honestly.
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I was trying to pull up my chart, looking at my chart, it doesn't matter. But no, I am excited. I believe that I am in I know that I'm in a year in my solar return where like a lot of planets are like actually happy in the houses they're in. And so this goes on for a year. Every year your solar chart changes and it really does set the tone for the year. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I would totally do that for you. Like I would love to do that for your chart. I can send that to you. You can look at it. So I can
I
give
would
you
love to do
support.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because I
Thank
could
you.
tell you like, okay, this year, maybe you also have a Sagittarius fire year, which would be incredible. But my friend I mentioned before, I'm like, girl, you're going to like reach all of your goals and then some this year. And she's like, oh, and she's already like on that path. Like I've already seen the energy come back in her. And she's had a really challenging couple of years, like taking care of her
Mm.
mother and just a lot of stuff. So I'm happy when I see that in
Yeah,
people's. So
that's awesome.
I know we kind of gone like a random like
No,
side,
I mean
but
it's totally
you can
fine.
always delete whatever and like just like bring it back to whatever you want to talk about. And we can like pause and like go on.
Yeah. Well, I also um so there's like a part of me that's like honestly, this part of me has gotten smaller and smaller, like in the sense that yeah, I think about how long it'll take to edit something. Like because I think I find so much more value in a truly engaging like conversation like this as in its purest form would be unedited, of course, you know, or like live streaming, which I mean we're obviously not doing it live right now, so
Live
you know.
streaming, that would be fun. I mean, I'm not on TikTok or anything, but like, I mean, that would be fun to do, honestly. Like, just like shoot the breeze
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
shoot the stuff, and just like talk, and like based on like the vibe of the week. That could be really fun, Holden.
Oh yeah, would
Just
you
like
want to
people,
join me in that?
100%. People like, from what I've heard, people just, they're fascinated by just listening in other people. Like, I don't
Yeah.
personally don't do that. Like, I've never, I'll get on a live stream, but it's like not actually live. But on
Mm.
YouTube, they'll say it's live, but it's not.
Oh yeah,
It's already been
yeah.
recorded, which I find is kind of interesting. I get it, I suppose. I don't though, but I'm kind of like naive about the whole live streaming. I don't really know much about it, but people apparently like it.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
I think we can do that for sure. It'd be fun.
just like talking about the vibe of the week. What did the kids say? The aura,
Yeah.
the Riz. I'm sure like this
Yeah,
will
oh
be
my
outdated.
god.
I know it's that
No,
that's like
that's, I
charisma,
think
right?
Riz is
The
kind of
charisma.
outdated now.
Okay, they all are. I mean, hold on. When I was a kid growing up, we had like one word for like all high school. Our lingo did not change at all.
Yeah.
Like 8 years, and like every week, I'm like, I don't know what my kids they called me Unk. Like one day, I'm like,
Oh my God.
but that's like an old I understand that mean they were joking. I think it's more about a man, right?
Yeah.
Like an
It's an
old guy. Like,
uncle.
oh, you're so
Yeah.
old. But I kind of caught on to their lingo because of somebody I follow on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I know the words of the week. And they stopped saying them around me because they know I know.
That's funny.
Like six
Yeah.
seven is out of 6 7 is like so like last year. Don't
Oh
say
my
six
gosh.
seven, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm I personally keep those things alive. Like, you know, like the 6 7 kind of thing.
seven.
There's
Next
like
time we do
a
that, I'm like,
67% chance that I'm gonna keep that alive.
my daughter, my daughter literally, she told me last week, she goes, I got a 67%. I go, 6 7. She's like, Mom, that's so cringe. I'm like, you got a 67 on the test? She's like, well, we got curved up. So it was like a B, or I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a good grade. I'm like, did you really get a 6 7? 67? Like, I know it's so cringy, but
That's awesome. I love the cringe.
yeah, I think it's kind of
I,
fun. Hey,
yeah.
I earned the right to be cringy. I'm old, so I can be cringy.
Yeah. I'm getting older, so I have the right as well, you know?
It's something fun about one thing I also love about like exploring possibility is manifesting. Do you ever manifest things?
Yeah, I definitely do believe so. Like that was a that like was trending a lot when or like that went through like that trending phase for like I don't know too much about like trends right now, like up to date necessarily. But when I was like I think it was 2024 or maybe 2021. Like I was so that was when we started up holding life together, you know, and I did a lot of like manifesting for that, and like like I'm I am like I would go to bed listening to like those YouTube videos that are like sleep to get you just manifesting while sleeping. So a lot of stuff like
I
that.
love that. I do that all the time. I've been doing that for since 2018. I put
Mm,
on these tracks on Insight Timer. Um, I think I have like 120,000 minutes of meditation. Granted, a lot of that is like well, a lot of it is just like 10 minutes here and there, but a chunk of it is like putting on for an hour and a half. Um, Maybe we talked about this before at some point, but I want to feel like I want to have a certain energy tomorrow. And then I wake up and I forgot that I even had it on. And sure enough, I wake up and I'm just like, wow, I have so much energy. And like, oh, I manifest this. Or I was hearing it all night, you know?
yeah, that's
So
awesome.
cool. I love it.
And it's super, like because I think that while you're sleeping, that's when your brain has more unconscious access to your subconscious thinking, which is why I think people like would go to bed listening. Like we were saying, we listen to those manifesting tracks and stuff.
Also, like when you're sleeping, your brain, do you find that at the end of the day, you just have a different mindset than you had at the start of the day?
Totally.
It's almost like when we go into, well, it's not almost like when we go into deep sleep, our brain is cleaning up. It's like getting rid of all of the, um, like the cellular debris. That's why deep
Mm,
sleep is so important. It's getting rid of that, uh, through, it's like a phagocytosis, process and, just like eliminating like cellular waste in our brains. That's why deep
yeah.
sleep is so important. But I also feel like it's like, when you wake up and you're just such a blank slate and maybe you went to bed in a different frame of mind, but you wake up, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about yesterday. And then if you go back to that place, like, oh, I was upset with this situation yesterday. And then like, but why go back there? Like, I love the blank
Yeah.
slate. Sometimes I'll just meditate on a blank slate. Like I want a blank slate tomorrow or whatever. I trust whatever comes to me that I want to meditate on or manifest, you know?
Mm.
And it's funny. I just searched, what are some spirituality trends? Okay. So mindfulness meditation, nature-based spirituality. That's interesting.
I
Energy
love that.
healing. And then often online exploration of astrology and tarot. And this is from a Pew Research study. Okay. So
Mm.
Pew Research Center, I trust them. This is actually, though, it's kind of older. It's like from 2023, but I think that on 2024, 41% of Americans have become more spiritual over time. They found that through, they're a very trusted research center. They have witch talk and alternative practices. Like younger generations
Yeah.
are into witch talk. You heard of that?
Well, like, yeah, isn't that in the same category of witchcraft or like, like understanding of
It's like tarot, astrology. See, I don't really lump um, people who have been skeptical about astrology towards me. They'll say that's the devil's work. Like
oh
somebody
my
told me that
God.
one time. Yeah, devil's work, or it's occult, or it's I don't know. For me, I do look back at the history of it, the 4,000 years, and just the patterns of planets. And isn't it interesting that there's certain
Yeah.
things that happen when these planets are in these positions in these houses? But tarot to me and like crystal healing, I kind of think like whatever resonates with anybody and makes them feel like they're, you know, expanding their mind or healing in some way, like why not? Like I
What
don't
lights them
judge
up.
it. Yeah. And so but people I have a teacher that I've had since 2020. And she personally is like, she's like, I'm not a psychic. I don't do psychic. I don't know how to read that stuff. I don't know tarot, but I know astrology. And I kind of appreciate that. That's kind of like my scientific mind also. But I do actually know how to do tarot, but I'm always surprised at the readings I get from doing tarot. But that to me feels just so like, I can't explain why I get messages I get.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I feel like I can give like data behind astrology to support why I believe it, but with like other stuff, I don't do the pendulum stuff. I don't know, and I don't see ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
have you found yourself exposed to like other like energy?
I have I think like one of my recent things actually like I'm open to all the things that you just mentioned and everything, but like I do when I'm in like my when I was in my like dream state and stuff, and like I go to bed like like meditating, listening to those YouTube videos, the sleep meditations that are like for manifesting or whatever. Like I do believe that like it would show its proof in like what I dreamt of, and maybe that was a dream, but maybe that was just an alternate dimension that like I was trying, like my brain, my limited mind was trying to comprehend, which that's so fascinating to me. And I'm totally like, I'm all for that.
So, are you saying that do you find that you get downloads, if you will, in dreams and you get information? I've heard some
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
there's somebody that is part of the meetup group that you and I are both in, and she has said to me, I mean, I won't say her name, doesn't matter, but she shared with me that she literally in dreams will understand where she's meant to be and who she's going to be with in life. And I'm like, that's so fascinating. I don't think I've ever had a dream that's been a foreshadow of my future. But I think my dreams are all like, oh, it's the end of the semester and I forgot that I signed up for a class and I didn't drop it. And I'm going into my final and I have not shown up for one day of the class and I have an F. Those are like anxiety dreams, but
Yeah.
I've never
But
seen something in a
I have
dream
a
where I'm like,
question about
wow.
that.
Yeah.
So, like, what if what you were saying is like the anxiety dream of like, did I turn that in or did I, like along those lines? What if those dreams are those are the very communications with your guides or your spirit or whoever it may be?
No, I totally hear that. I think that that's a really good point. Maybe that is a message to like double check things and be extra careful in my life and like to because I am not gonna lie, and this is in my chart, I'm very trusting of people and situations. And for the most part it's worked out. But there have been some really hard lessons or some challenging times I've had to endure to know that, okay, you can't trust everybody. And trust is something that is not given without knowing the person or situation. And I'm going to trust somebody until I have a reason not to. By that point, it's too late.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
that's very much like me. Like about like I'm a way more biased towards the trust, the kind intention or like the loving intention of people I may not know or have just met, something like whatever, just new people. I'm a way more trusting person and
and that's kind
like
of it. It's tricky. Like, how do you? And what are your thoughts about that? I do find it challenging because I know that I'm not going to intentionally get to know somebody only to this phrase came out and like do them dirty. Like I have no interest in like extracting revenge, seeking revenge. I just like if there's something about a person that doesn't jive, like I'm gonna move on. Like I'm not gonna. It's not even a need for a conversation half the time, because either they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, I intentionally was being hurtful," or they have no clue, and that's me where I have to understand why I felt away in a situation, and I will never put that on that person because it is what it is.
yeah,
It triggered something in me where I need to heal in some way, or I need to do more self work and reflection. But like, I love this line, like, I will never hold you responsible for my feelings. And that's a hard thing for people to understand. Like, I can't hold, because back to what we were saying earlier, like in a certain situation, the same incident, let's say whatever, could have happened and another person would have no feelings about it at all. But if I felt a certain way based on an interaction, that's like kind of like, hey, that's kind of interesting. Like, let's understand like why, what is being triggered in me. But that's for me to understand, like not for that other person to be responsible for, you know?
yeah. So that's one of those things that I think we, like, as like a species, tend to have a harder time with is not holding ourselves. It's kind of like a flip flop, like where either we hold ourselves responsible for something happening negatively, that really you had no effect on, or but then also there's it's kind of the opposite. It's like, yeah, no, yeah, I guess
It's like the accountability, like I'm going to be accountable for things that I know what you're saying, where we can feel really, we might beat ourselves up, hold ourselves accountable because somebody else is really hurt.
mm,
But I always go back to, and I've said this to people in the moment, like that's only like a newer thing that I've understood about mindset, probably in the past like 6, 7 years, like legit, like
That's hilarious.
I know that's so
Maybe that was
cringe, so
meant to be
cringe.
though. That was meant to be. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But where it's like, okay, do you ever find like when you're just like talking, you're like, and then somebody just gets really offended. And so
Oh
I
yeah.
used to like, oh my gosh. But all I say in the moment is like, I understand that you feel this way. My intention was not to be hurtful. I'm sorry that my words, I never say I'm sorry that you feel this way. That's like, ugh.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I'm so
That's
sorry. I'm so
dangerous
sorry that
waters.
I'm so sorry I had, I chose the wrong, I chose words the way I did, or obviously,
Mm,
but at the same time, like, I don't feel bad because
yeah.
they're that, like, that's like, for example, I shared this before we started recording. Like, I'm around people and we're talking about neuroscience, and I thought, like, okay, cool. Like, and I mentioned that we were at brunch. I mentioned that I am, a certified astrologer and I study astrology and whatever. And like, and they wanted to understand their charts. And then, but something happened and I'm like, okay, this felt weird. Like I trusted the energy and I was like, I'm probably going to stop talking about this. But I did share stuff because I thought it was really cool. I'm like, oh my God, does this resonate? And it did, but they got super uncomfortable.
Mm,
And I was like,
yeah.
okay, this is like not my issue. My intention was to share and I didn't say anything like hurtful, but it really bothered them. And I, I'm aware of it, but I'm not going to personalize it. Like,
Yeah. It's interesting showing compassion, like, and just like for others, like, because we're thankfully not all the same. We don't all have the same timeline, all that stuff. But having compassion and willingness to understand, I feel like, and like try to get your mind, I mean, not like for a long time, like they were thinking. It could be if it was negative and stuff like that. But for them to understand the experience, like, and then that unlocks the compassionate side in them, I believe.
100%. Like, I have a lot, I do find myself, again, getting curious about somebody's reaction when it seems like that wasn't my intention. But not even like curious outwardly, but just more like, and like, huh. And it's true. I think the curiosity does lead to compassion, when you're curious about
I would agree.
a reaction and or just a situation even where like if you so I think we were talking about earlier about people who drive not very well on the street and like well, I could be angry if somebody's like not a good driver, but for me it's more like and then it kind of can become like a fun exercise. Like I don't know this person, I'm never going to see this car again, and maybe people don't want to drive poorly. Maybe they just lost a loved one. Maybe they have to go to the bathroom. Maybe they just lost their job. It's like they're distracted, obviously. And then I have compassion. And then it's hard to you cannot have anger and compassion at the same time.
Yeah,
So you
I
just like you
agree.
can't have the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference, and you can't have like those feelings at the same time. Like you can't have a scarcity mindset and a gratitude mindset. It's impossible to
Yeah,
have both. And so back to the love story. It's like, you want to always leave with love. You cannot have love is compassion, it's one form of it. And it's kind of a good place to like to go. And again, I think it kind of is born out of curiosity. Don't you think so?
yeah, um, absolutely. Like I think curiosity, from the like how I visualize it, it's like it opens the like platter, or like maybe not platter. It's not food necessarily, but like it opens, it like gives you looseness and like your ability to choose things and, you know, go down certain paths to learn more or engage with certain people, all these different things. And I think it just opens the doorway
It sets the
to,
table for like the big buffet of life, right?
absolutely, yeah.
I personally don't like buffets. They kind of skeeve me out with like a lot of people like touching food. I like when you said that sets the table, and it's kind of like okay, and then you can be curious and choose to sit down. Like I want to sit down here. I want to like understand that, and it's like I think curiosity. Well, it is. It's actually a way to be happier, and so choose curiosity, not judgment. I always say, and it's interesting when I see my children that are young. They're young. Judging something they don't know anything about. Honestly, like, I have reacted poorly in the moment where I'll be and I'll be like, I was kind of use snap, like, what are you like? Why are you? So then I'm being judgmental, right? Like, I'm like, why
Yeah.
are you saying this? But I should be like, hey, just what I should say is, hey, I'm just curious. Like, what led you to that understanding or that conclusion about this person you don't know?
Totally. That's like definitely one of the most difficult things.
It is, yeah.
Is yeah. It's like it's
It's
so
choose
simple.
curiosity.
Yeah.
Kind of fun when you do it because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I do think there are some people that are just like not curious, but you can rewire your mind like
Mm.
to become more curious. And it's a either I'm naturally curious, but I think that for people who are not, they just have to make a habit of it and
Mm.
just practice it every day, like meditation. That is honestly like step one to becoming happier and to like just rewiring your brain to be like, happier and be more present. And it's a practice and it can be challenging.
So how would you say you like if you were trying to, I don't know, if somebody was curious about meditation, how would you say like they could begin?
There are a number of apps. The one that I started using in 2018 is called Insight Timer. And I would say just like with 1 minute, just 1 minute a day. And you you just literally focus on your breath going in and the sensation of it going in and then breathing out and just for 1 minute. And I've done meditations, not the sleep ones, but I could do a meditation and I love it. Like I crave it.
Yeah.
It's like any practice, the more you do it, the more you want to do it. Like I've done yoga, like strength training or anything that you do where you get into that state of flow. You want that more and more. Your brain craves like those good neural connections. So yeah, just like focusing your breath like 1 minute, set a timer. And people always say, oh, I have monkey brain. Well, yes, because we're human. And that's actually, it's good when that happens when you're meditating because it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to get back to my breath. And at the
Yeah.
minimum, just focus on,
You can learn
and
to observe.
if you have to like count, I mean, there's so many guided ones. I very rarely just do it with like on my own. I like the guided ones because in the morning I'll do 10 minutes or so. I typically do 10 minutes soon after I wake up, on gratitude. I like to start the day with that or an intention. Sometimes I want peace. I don't know. I just wake up with the first thought on my mind, like, what do I want right now? I want peace. And I don't know why. And so you can find these, guided meditations. There's thousands, thousands, thousands. And then some
Would
days,
you say that's your intuition suggesting you
yes.
follow these things? Yeah.
And like, I believe, like you were saying about, when you go to sleep and you wake up and you have a whole different mindset than you had when you went to bed the night before. And that's not an accident. And I think that the first thing I like to do when I wake up is like I like to channel sort of like good vibe feelings, like sit in a place like I can channel sort of like the energy chills that I like to call them, and that's like source to me. Anyway, this might be getting a little too like in the spiritual weeds,
No,
spiritual
that's
swamp.
okay.
But I
It's
know
a
how to channel that.
free space to do that.
But I really love that because like that is like setting me up for a really good day. Do I do this every day? No, but I do meditate every morning. Um, and it could be as simple as, like, let's say I'm really tired. You can do them lying down in your bed.
Mm.
But I like to get up and I sit in my chair and I meditate. And then if I feel like I want to journal, I will, but I don't always journal. I might just do like an audio note if it comes to me.
Mm.
There is a power in writing for sure. I think that, well, people who write more, it actually can help your cognition. Like it can like, for somebody my age, like it can like stave off cognitive decline the more you write.
Mm.
But writing's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But meditation, I think, like back to your point, your question is, it's as simple as 1 minute, and then you get into a habit, and you're like, cool, I want to do 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And this one great mind I like, I think it was Jay Shetty said this. He's great. Maybe it wasn't Jay Shetty. Anyway, some like spiritual like guru said, if you only have 10 minutes to meditate, spend 20 minutes meditating. Like essentially when you like, maybe it was Eckhart Tolle. Anyway, I forget, but
Yeah.
you think you only have 10 minutes, then you need 20. And it's so true. And like, there's so many other ways you can waste time, but it's a great way and it gets you more present. There's so many studies about the benefits of it, And that's
Yeah.
awesome that you do that. I think that's incredible. Like, have you found where in your life do you find that you want to, or you need to, or that you wish you had meditated?
Um, I I think I've gotten my mind to the point where I don't wish I would have done anything different than I have. You
That's so
know,
awesome. I love that.
it feels what like lights me up is just the fact that like, because if I made one choice differently, everything, like literally this life wouldn't exist like for as I know it is. That's just, so like the power of like just the decisions is so substantial, and I find that so, I don't know, it's freaking exciting.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
it's so great. I mean, I think I said this to you on the phone the other night, but I think another thing that's so inspiring about you is how you have found gratitude and you've found appreciation in things that are just like unfathomable to experience in life. And, that expression's pretty, not trite. Is it trite? um, is, things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And I really believe that. And it can sometimes take years to understand the wisdom of like the divine timing of situations. But I think it's so inspiring that you found this. The wisdom is I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but you found the gratitude in a really, really challenging situation experience so relatively quickly, I mean,
Yeah.
and I just hope that your viewers are inspired by just your love for life, and how you keep going every day. It's incredible.
I really do hope the same. Thank you so much, though. And it's it's all the power of, well, it's trusting. I feel like it's a combination of repetition and trusting yourself. Like knowing if you don't like your life where it's at, like you don't like the, like, I don't know, your job or your school or your friends or your family, something like that, like for like where you are. You can choose. It's like, I think like because you can choose what timeline you are on, essentially. So like, and those timelines are split up by decisions, like decision moments, or moments of change, um, subconsciously, unconsciously, and I mean some consciously. And I think you can. It's just a lot to try to condense. I don't know, like how to simply say it, but you are always like I see your soul is the one that's like controlling what it is that, like, this life that you are having in this human experience, and that we get, like, this is limited time human experience. However, if that is just a single thing, or like it is a repeated thing, like where it's like you essentially respawn, like not as the same person, but like you log in as a different human, like it's just different timelines. It's a lot.
No, I like to call the practice, I call it choose again. And so whenever I have a thought that is like, and to be sure, we all go down like the rabbit hole of negativity and just like, okay, some days, but I don't like that feeling. I don't like to feel that way. But sometimes it is actually good to sit in like we have to sit with our feelings, right? But there are points when it's like, okay, why am I choosing this one narrative that I choose again? And I can choose a different narrative. Like, you know, like let's say it's a rainy day and I was going to do something outside and plans get canceled. I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful. Like I can choose to get excited about staying indoors. It just, that's a very simple, very, very simple, like not like a deep thought, but like choosing again is a fun exercise to do when you find yourself in a place that, and this is not a healthy place for my brain, my thoughts to be, because our thoughts create our reality 1,000%, 1,000%. Like if you walk into the day and you think everybody's going to screw you over, pardon the language,
Yeah.
you're right. Whether you believe it, whatever you believe, you're right. You are right. And so, like with my kids, my daughter say, I'm terrible at math. I go, you are. She's like, well, you just told
That's
yourself you
hilarious.
are. You
Yeah,
are.
that's
You are.
funny.
Math can be
Yeah.
challenging, but if you say you're terrible, you are. Or you
Yeah.
say yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm never going to find somebody. You won't. You're absolutely right. You are 1,000% right. Like I love saying that to people.
Yeah.
But
Like,
but
oh my
it's easy
gosh,
to
you're
say
so right.
I say it to myself, but I find myself, catching myself in this like fear spiral. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, get out of your head. Come on. It's like your head being in your head's like not a good place to be. It's like get out. Like
Yeah.
even like going outside for a walk and like getting in the sun. Yay, spring. Like getting outdoors, like having your feet touch the ground. Sometimes we just like need to be grounded with like bare feet on the ground. And that can be a way to get back to like reality and like, okay, but choosing again is a really fun exercise. Like, I'm going to choose again. I'm going to choose a different awareness of a situation. So back to like the driving, somebody, drives poorly and people personalize it. I don't get it. It's like, okay, well, again, a different thought. Maybe just to get to a place of neutral, maybe they were sick. Maybe they got bad news. Maybe, they are racing to get their kid from school. Like they're late or whatever. It's not about me.
Yeah.
But I think there is, it's like victim mentality. People they feel better. And there are people that are, wired. I wouldn't say hardwired. We can always change our wiring. They're wired they want to feel that because at some point in their life, they got a lot of attention for being that person who was victimized, right? Or they felt like they were like, people flocked to them when they were like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened. Like, oh, the worst day. That's never worked for me. Like, I don't like that energy. I don't like feeling like, oh, I got taken advantage of, or, I just choose again. I'm like, nah, I can take a different route to work or take a different route. I don't have to go in that where bad drivers are. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Like, that
Yeah,
makes no sense. But
or like thinking like taking like in the sense of like taking a different route to work, like that. What if that um that road blockage or something that forces you to take a different route that
save
is
you
the
from,
thing.
yes,
Yeah,
100%.
or like you wouldn't park next to like these perfect people like that, like you end up talking to at that's like that particular time and place. I mean, there's just so many
I
factors.
also love like, again, like back to curiosity. I love this, like, have you ever thought, maybe I don't want to go, this is a silly example, but it's one that I use often where it's like, I want to go to this grocery store. I mean, I don't know why. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I live in a very densely populated area and there's a lot of grocery stores. And whenever I coach people about like simple things to change their habits, I'm like, just shake up your routine. Like, if you always go to like a certain Starbucks for coffee, go to a different one. Or, if you always if you have a set routine, a way to like, I guess like get new data points and like shake up your routine and you will interact with new people, which can be a great way to, create a happier mindset. But I always kind of find it interesting where, yes, let's say I'm like 5 minutes late. This literally happened a couple of days ago.
Mm.
And I was leaving my place and there was horrible, horrible accident. We had like tornado warnings like last week. And
Oh,
I was about 10 minutes late leaving my place to go see a friend. And that could have, it wasn't me. It maybe would
mhm.
never have been me. But the point is, like, I have gratitude for sitting in traffic because there was just something that happened. Or let's say, this happened to me at a grocery store I did a couple of days ago and I ran into somebody I hadn't seen in ages. Meant to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's really cool when that
I
happens.
love that. Like, because I think that's
Timing
like
of
a
it. You're
good,
meant to. Yeah.
yeah, it's like two spirits uniting. Like they coordinated this for your two human bodies or your two souls in like having the human body experience to uh, connect and like intermingle whatever. Like I think that's just fascinating about all that.
So like I mentioned this friend of mine, this woman whose chart I did, um, her solar return, but like I randomly decided to go to this one location, the mall. And
Mm.
I was studying and doing some work there on my computer, and I sat in a place I've never sat. And she'd just been on my mind. I had just texted her an hour earlier, like, "Hey, let's get together." And she literally walks by my table.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
was like, Lizette, oh my gosh, it was so cool. And then we sat and we talked for an hour and she didn't know that I was into astrology. And then that all came out. And I mean, I'm like, I don't push it on people, but she was talking about yoga and stuff. And I mentioned, yeah, I love yoga. And so went down that path. And then, yeah, then I did her chart for her. It was kind of cool. And
That's super awesome.
it kind of like brought our friendships like a newer, like a cooler level of connection, I think.
Yeah, like
So
it's like you're more engaged because of that.
it's
Whatever.
also cool. It was also cool that she appreciated that random timing. And she was like, I never come to this part of the mall. I go, neither do I. It's like not like a bad part. It's like the food court area, whatever.
Mm.
But she's just like, I happen to be here. She's like, I never come out of this exit. I go, yeah, I never sit here. I mean, it was so interesting, right? The timing of things. So
That's fascinating. I
yeah,
love to hear that.
it
That's
was super cool. I was like super psyched about the whole thing. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to experience that for sure.
yeah, but I just wanted to share that. Did you, I know it's been like a bit. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. I was worried, like, like I didn't want to take up all your
Such, my, charger thing because it's like, it's not.
yeah.
Okay, hang on a second. Okay. So this is actually how, this is how I was doing it last time when I was not recording through that my computer's dying. So
Oh,
hang on. It is recording. Shoot. Sorry. Give me like 2 seconds.
you're fine.
If you want to like take a bathroom break or whatever, that's fine. How do I get this?
Yeah, okay.
I gotta figure this out. Like, the heck. I like legit don't know what I'm doing, but
Well, so what's the what is like going on?
no. So I was charging. I'm trying to charge my computer, and I mean, I can talk like this. Like, it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
like it's it looks like it's like not going through this, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah, it's a facade.
So exactly. I'm a poser. I'm so cringe. So yeah, which I'm happy about, which is good. So it's fine. I'll be a poser, but I'm gonna get some more
Yeah.
water. But no, no,
Uh,
I know we kind of like went off. Like I literally like on Tuesdays, like I have a call at 4. Like I'm like I don't. Tuesdays have been my day to study, and my class I'm taking now is like not nearly as hard as the class I just finished. So like I just had a test on you can delete this part, but I had a test on Sunday and it was like a 70-minute test and the 2 written things. I got a 97 out of 101. I was so happy.
dang.
Yeah, it's
Good
autonomic
job.
psychology. Yeah. So I'm like super psyched because I love neuroscience and like and I was gonna depending on that grade, I was gonna drop the class, but I don't want to drop anything. I want to just keep doing it, and like myself and I don't need to get an A, but it's kind of fun when you do.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd prefer that too.
Somebody we know who's also suffered like a number of TBIs. It's like you have such a light that like you're so blessed, honestly. Like because I've known 2 people in IRL in real life who both of them were mugged and they, were essentially like beaten and their head and they were like left like an alley. The 2 different women I know.
Dang.
And they have really just like flashes of anger. And I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just like so, I mean, that must be so hard. But you're so like but my interaction with you, like you just like so like just love, 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 which is awesome. And I hope that, you know, you sharing like your mindset tricks or what you do like meditation. And I don't want to sound like, oh, it's easy to rewire your brain. Like I appreciate that it's not for a lot of people based on things that have happened. And I never want to minimize somebody feeling a lot of pain for what they've gone through and they haven't processed it yet, or they're still processing it. And that's totally legit. I think we reach a point where it's like, okay, do I want to live or be to me, like being stuck in the past is like it's like a death of some sort. Like I definitely was stuck for a couple of years in a situation that made no sense to me, but I had stopped living, because I was giving way too much life to the past. And when you do that, you're just like delaying your own abundance, your own happiness, and like for what? But there is some benefit to processing. At some point, I was like, enough already. I just, it was exhausting, like trying to keep processing something that I could not change, you know?
And it's very difficult to, I don't know, because like some people just deny that so much. Like it's like, which I mean, that's okay. That's them. It's what they want to believe, and like how, like for like so like me, the way I see it is like everything I want to do, I want to just reflect love and be able to, accept like these challenges and the newness, all the things, and it's like it's a definite blessing, I'd say, and I'm not like taking it into the religious realm, but I have no problem with that, any of that though. But it's just, it's all just centered around love, and it's like so simple, but it's so complex and so expansive. I love that.
No, it's amazing. I mean, it is simple, but it's also, I can appreciate that those are not mutually exclusive uh, ideas around love, where it is very simple, but it's also complicated. And I think that we complicate things and we allow too many, like, too much noise into like that soul intention of love, you know?
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It's like it's incredible. I think that what a gift that you're of this age and that you have this mindset and you can truly influence like so many other people your age and older and younger, just like help a lot of people. And my whole attitude about sharing is if it resonates with one person, then that's all I need. I don't
Yeah,
need masses. It's just like one person. If they can like, if they get something and for sure, like when I was like super active on my Instagram page, I had people messaging me all the time, like saying some quote I shared like, saved their day. I mean, it's just like kind of like wow, like, and
I love that.
I don't like. That's my intention is like not to be this like savior. But it's like cool. That was on my heart. This whatever I had written that day, that was on my heart that day, and I felt compelled to share it. And it's like kind of like to come full circle about astrology. It's like take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And like that's true with anything in life. It just,
Yeah,
I think curiosity is the key, where it's like, if you want some sort of, if you feel like unfulfilled with your understanding of anything about your life, look into everything and try to, you know, at some point it's gonna, you'll find peace in whatever resonates with you. And it could be a different message. It could be the same message, but in a different day, you'll hear it differently and you'll get something different out of that.
yeah. I totally like it's like yeah, a different interpretation of it because certain things may have happened just that day, or like that is different than like it keeps going back to like the idea that like there are several timelines. Like it's like each decision is you choosing one timeline, but you don't know like how they add up. You don't know. I mean, like just all the things. And I do have to go though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really freaking appreciate you for jumping on this with
It's
me.
so fun. I love this. And like, if you want to do like a live, I would say though, like, so like whatever, like, don't include this. It's like, it's just advice that I learned from people who, when I was like trying to do social media, is
Hmm.
like, it's all about consistency, which I'm sure you know, just putting like, if you want to
Yeah,
live, like, I'm Tuesdays and Fridays, like my good days, like where I have like very little scheduled, so I can like do my coursework, which I don't really have. It's like not that hard this time, but I'm saying like it's just about consistency and just putting
hmm,
something out there. It doesn't have to be 2 hours. It's like I think that the more we talk, like I always like to edit things down than like not have something. And like maybe something from this will sound much better. And like to your point about like you might hear the same message, but depending on your mood or whatever, you hear it differently. Or like if you're like read a text message and the next day you read it and it didn't have that same feeling the next day.
yes. Especially like rereading like text messages you sent, say like
See.
a couple days ago or something. it's not the same because you're not experienced. You're not in that time, that like time of the timeline, or
So
even the same one.
that's why I don't mind that this is like this long because like one, I had the time, and so like it doesn't. I appreciate as a creator or creative, like you know, that something about this. You're the editor. You own this. Is like will jump out at you, and then like the rest just throw it away. Who cares? You know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give a lot and edit it down, then just like not have enough. Like, oh, okay. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm down for whatever. Like if this keeps inspiring, if this inspires you, I'm down with it. Like if not, totally cool too. Like
I'm
it's fun.
totally down to keep going. Like I freaking love like we have like the best discussions
I think it's so fun. And you know what I think is so cool, Holden? It's
like
like this
that.
energy where it's like spirituality, it's like it doesn't know any like strict borders of like age or like I have connected with people that are much older, meaning like shared really deep conversations with like you're so inspiring because you're 24, almost 25, but it's just like so cool when you're like, okay, like, wow, what it just shows that like the chronological timing of life is very different than like our spiritual timing.
Totally.
Awesome.
And I
Well
hope
done.
you have an awesome rest of your day.
You too. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Peace out.